Today we're going to go ahead and add some formatting to the spreadsheet that we were working on the other day. We set this thing up and we were working on formulas, but let's go ahead and change the way this looks a little bit. There are some formatting things that we want to do. We have miles driven, which is just a regular number, and when we get down here at the bottom, we don't need all these decimal places. So we have up here on our toolbar, or ribbon, excuse me, two options for dealing with decimals. I'm going to go ahead and decrease my decimals here all the way down to nothing to kind of stay with that whole number look that we have sitting there. We also have this cost per mile right here. Well, cost per mile really is going to be a money amount, and I'm going to format this kind of using the same formatting really for all of these numbers over here, because these are all money amounts. I'm going to select all of this area, but rather than, oops, sorry, no, that's right. We're going to select all of this, and what I'm going to use is I need a comma in there, and I don't want to have any dollar symbols. So I'll go use this comma feature like that. And all it simply does is go in and throw in commas and sets up two decimal places. It is a little bit different from the currency. Obviously, there's no dollar symbol in there. Plus, it kind of offsets the numbers on the right hand side. You'll notice how they're sitting in just a little bit from the edge as opposed to using just a regular number over here when we're working with them. So, a couple things kind of keep in mind when you're working through here on your formatting. The real thing, though, we want to focus on today is using what's called conditional formatting. And this is where we can tell the computer to format certain cells depending on what's in those cells. We'll go ahead and start off. We'll do the cost per mile. And you need to make sure you go in and select the cells before you do this. We'll go under conditional formatting, and I'm going to go down and just go straight to where it says new rule. And you'll get this dialog box that pops up. We want to only format cells that contain a specific item. In this case, it's going to be the cell value, and instead of between, let's say we want to do something where we can see the cars that cost the most. So we're going to say greater than, and then on the right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in simply 0.5. Now, at this point, we've set our criteria, but we still need to tell it how to format it. So we just click on our Format button, and this opens up this dialog box where we can go in and we can change some things. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Fill tab, and I'm going to add just a nice light shade of green. So I go ahead and hit OK, and it applies that format. So that's one type of conditional formatting. Another thing we could do is we could come over here and we could select this last group, and when we go to conditional formatting, we can do it a little bit different. Maybe what we want is we want it to kind of tell us what degree of expense we have. So we can use what are called data bars. That's one way. We can use a color scale. You can see how this kind of works out. Or we can even use icon sets. And I kind of like this really sometimes. It works out nicely. Maybe what I need to do is I need to give them ratings. Alright. So I can go in here and I can add my ratings like that. And then the most expensive ones were set up so that they got the full stars. Now, let's go back in there for a second, because honestly, that's not what I would like. I'm going to manage my rules for a second. I'm going to pick this and go ahead and delete the rule. And then I'll hit OK. Let's go back in. We'll do our icon sets, and we'll do more rules. Now, what we want to do on this one is we are going to go in and we are going to change this. Go ahead and go use our star rating. All right. And these are based on percentages right here, which is perfectly fine. But what we want to do is we want to reverse this. We want the one with the lowest amount to get the full star. So I can go over here and either change this or I can change it over here. So like I'm going to change this and make this the blank one and then make that one the full star like that. And then when I hit OK, now the ones that have the smallest total cost per mile get the full stars, and then you only have one that's sitting in here that's actually going to apply in the middle section. So those are two different ways to apply conditional formatting.